Hello everyone, this is Bora. You might recognize my name from the Amazon discussion on the PD2 Discord. I've also written a pretty comprehensive guide on the PD2 Reddit regarding this character right here, the Windforce Bowazon, the glass cannon variation. It's a lot of fun to play. I think my original attraction to this character was the gear is infinitely scalable. You'll probably never perfect it in a 4-month season. The upgrades are really noticeable. It's a pretty swaggy build, especially with the Tyrells in the blue. And just like I said, like a lot of fun to play. Beyond that, it is perhaps the top clearing efficiency character in the game. It's very fast. You can solo everything, chaos, bales, maps, whatever you want to do. This is a great character to do it, and with incredible efficiency. Uh, Diving right into it, let's just take a look at the stats. I did mention that this is the glass cannon variation. What that means is you put all of your points into dexterity after you've put enough points to wear your gear. So this is currently where I'm sitting. No points in vitality or energy. All dexterity. At each point in dexterity adds 1 enhanced damage. So just serves to bolster your damage. The more dexterity you can get. When it comes to gear, when gear and your inventory, if you do get plus strength on anything, basically it's a trade-off. Every point you save in strength, you add to dex later, so you don't have to fuss too much about your jewels or your inventory having plus dexterity. You can certainly go with plus strength. So that's the the stat distribution that I recommend. And we'll dive right into the gear. So I think I'll preface this with saying I wouldn't do a physical damage Bowazon unless you have at least a medium tier budget. I think there's two basic requirements to doing this well, and that is a good wind force. Doesn't have to be as strong as this, and a faith bow for an Act 1 mercenary. I'll talk more about the mercenary later. But basically, you need fanaticism on your mercenary to hit the increased attack speed, the top increased attack speed breakpoint, which again, I just highly recommend in terms of clearing efficiency. There are other budget Bowazon options. For instance, there is the Mavina's Cold Arrows on, which I think is a lot of fun as well. And wouldn't require such great gear. Again, just having very low budget gear and a physical Bowazon, you're just going to clear slowly. And not to say it can't be done, but just don't recommend it. It's not like an optimal farming build. So diving right into the gear, I have a pretty strong wind force here. It is socketed with 40-15 max jewels, which are the optimal jewel. If you can't afford those, Maroon is the next best thing for sure, 50% enhanced damage. And if you can't afford those, any ED jewel will do. In terms of like kind of the base wind force that I would start with, at least 2 sockets and as high of an ED base as you can get. Socket with Ohm, and you're going to be cruising for basically any solo farming that you want to do. You're going to be in a good spot. For Helm, I just picked this up actually last night. It's a build I'm experimenting with. The Veil of Steel. It does have a lot of strengths, obviously. The one drawback is the base strength requirement is 192. You do have to use some minus requirement jewels in it. However, it does add a lot of enhanced damage, has some other good qualities as well, with the strength and the vitality. And the resists, which resists are very hard to come by for Bowazon, as you can see. This is a hell game. I'm not maxed, which isn't a huge issue. You do, you stand pretty far back. It might be a bit of a problem if you do frequently bail runs, but either way, you might have an opportunity to try res boots, or you can even do some all res small charms to help you get closer to max resistance. The build I was using prior to the Veil of Steel is a 3 open socket Valk helm. Can't say enough about this helm. Just has everything you'd want. Skills, which aren't really necessary, but it's nice to have. Faster run walk. 3 open sockets adds a lot of versatility for your build and for your jewels, faster hit recovery, enhanced damage, just an overall solid option. Other options would include Giant Skull, which has strength, crushing blow, enhanced damage. The knockback is a little redundant because knockback does come stock standard on a Windforce, but G Skull is a great option. However, it is quite expensive. I do recommend the Valkelm as opposed to the G Skull, but if you can afford it, great, go for it. And then alternatively, the probably lesser option of the four would be an Andy's Helm. Does have increased attack speed, strength, and a couple of other benefits as well. So definitely nothing to sneeze at. For the amulet, the Cat's Eye. This one has an enhanced damage corruption. The only other alternative would be High Lords, but I would definitely recommend the Cat's Eye over the High Lords. Again, 25 dexterity. Does add damage, and the faster run walk is pretty nice to have, and the 20 increased attack speed you will need to hit your breakpoint. And I'll just pause here and just talk about breakpoints. So when you do have a Mercenary with Faith, if you have a 12 Fanat Faith on your Mercenary, you need 99 increased attack speed to hit your top breakpoint. If you have level 15 Fanat, you need 92. So basically, it's very easily achievable with all your gear, especially with the sockets that you have. So you can definitely get there, but in terms of just what's optimal, Cat's Eye is definitely the best in slot here. I am one of the lucky few to have a 3 open socket Tyrell's Might. This introduces a pretty important concept in damage to demons and damage to undead. This is a PvM game as of right now. Certainly PvP will become a bigger thing. Wouldn't recommend this armor at all for PvP. You'd want to use a Fortitude. But this is a fantastic option. Damage to demons, damage to undead. I don't know if you've noticed, but pretty much everything is either a demon or an undead. Most of the bosses are demons. You're going to shred them the more damage to demons you have. Certainly a 3 open socket Tyrells is better than a Fortitude. If you only have a 2 open socket Tyrells, it's probably on par, and it just becomes a question of, do you like the blue swag? Do you like the faster hit recovery? Or if you just want to show the most damage on your tooltip, then you'd want to use a Fortitude. Either way, both great options. Third option being COH, Chains of Honor, another really good one. It's going to get you there for your max resistance. And yeah, I mean, definitely a viable option. For gloves, Laying of Hands, definitely the best option here. Again, damage to demons, stock standard, 20 increased attack speed. That's really all that this has. These are corrupted with enhanced damage, probably the best corruption you can get. Secondary corruption you would want would be Pierce. And for a ring, I use Wisp Protector. The reason I use Wisp Protector is Heart of the Wolverine, which gives increased damage. So you'll see level 9 here gives 76%, which is pretty nice. For the belt, I use Nosferatu's Coil, 20 increased attack speed. This has a Pierce Corruption, Life Leech, Strength, really nice. Deadly Strike, nice to have as well. I do wear a nice stat ring. If you can get any stats that exceed, the 20 that you would get from a Ravenfrost, and you don't need the Cannot Be Frozen, which comes on Tyrells, then I would recommend switching to a ring like this. However, Ravenfrost is a great budget option. There's definitely nothing wrong with wearing a Ravenfrost. In terms of boots, Wartravs, definitely the best option. People often ask me if Goblin Toe is better. The adds 15 to 25 damage that you see on Wartravs, that applies before your enhanced damage is calculated, and you can see it does not just add 15 to 25 damage, it actually adds a very meaningful amount of damage. So Wartravs, definitely best in slot. In terms of corruptions for all this gear, for Wartravs, a lot of options. Nothing great on boots, but certainly you could go with FHR, faster run walk, all resist, life. Any of those would be great options. For rings, you can do faster run walk, you can do all stats, all resist. All stats is probably the best option. Life Leech, if you're lacking Life Leech, that's another great corruption. For Nosferatu's belt, the chance to pierce is a really nice to have because, like I said, getting 100% pierce is basically imperative for this build. This is actually on the lower end of the corruption. You can get 15% chance to pierce, which would have been nice, but I just bought this this morning for the purpose of this video, so please bear with me there. If you do use a Razor Tail, all stats or dexterity is the best. All stats is better because if you get 6 strength and 6 dexterity, that's essentially 12 points that you're adding to dex, whereas this only has 10. Still, obviously, a great option. In terms of inventory, of course, you want an Annie, and a torch. As high resist as you can get, as high vitality as you can get. Experience gained is nice to have as well. Nobody cares about energy, so just between those 3 stats, try to do the best that you can. In terms of small charms, you want to use something that looks kind of like this, either 3 max or 2 strength. Again, that 2 strength that you save will be added to dexterity, so this essentially has 2% ED on it. Or you want to do something like this, 3 max with attack rating and life, definitely a good option as well. For grand charms, you want to do something like this, 10 max with attack rating and life. Or something like this. This can have 10 max and 6 dexterity. Again, that's 6% ED. So in terms of maxing out your damage, something like this is the top that you can get. For the skill distribution, obviously nothing in the Javelin and Spear skills. In terms of things that I like to do, actually I'm going to do bow first just so we can get this out of the way. I only do 1 point in magic and 1 point in guided, and I max multi-shot. Now, the damage scaling on guided arrow is atrocious. To put it into perspective, I just respec from a max guided arrow build, and my guided arrow increased by 1,000. I'm actually going to just go quickly buff myself so you can see what this looks like after all of my auras. You'll see that I'm at 14k on the max end with 1266 on the low end. Just going to do that so I don't die while I'm talking here. But either way, the damage scaling, when I maxed guided arrow, I went to 15k. It's just not necessary. It doesn't really do you any good. Perhaps if you have more budget gear, I would recommend max and guided, but for anyone that has mid to high tier gear, definitely 1 point guided is what I would recommend. For passive, I max crit, I max evade. This does have passive movement speed on it now. Enough points in pierce to get 100%. This is imperative. It's actually pretty nice if you're able to wear a razor tail. Getting to 100% pierce is much easier because it has 33 on it already. Same goes for G Skull, has passive pierce on it. Makes it a lot easier to hit 100%. I dump all the rest of my points into dodge. But if you did not want to do that, you can max Valkyries. It's the safer option, but not necessary, especially as your gear becomes on the higher end. You just clear things so quickly that your Valks basically just stand around and do nothing. I will do a bit of gameplay just to showcase, the strength of this build, how safe it is, how fast you clear, and basically, how little you actually need the Valkyrie. So I guess we'll just jump right into gameplay right now. Please bear with me. I normally play in window mode. This is obviously full screen for the purpose of this video, but you'll see my chaos runs, I do one shot everything. Again, my gear is certainly on the higher level, but my clear speed is incredibly fast, and even with mid-tier gear, it's going to be fast as well. So I'm just going to run through this quickly. I'd say my chaos runs are somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes on average. I'm pretty slow of a player. I like to kind of smell the flowers a little bit and pick up a lot of items I probably shouldn't. However, that's just my play style. So as we run through this, we can you'll see when it comes time for me to actually kill Diablo, how fast he dies. I can't imagine another hero killing him much faster, and that is largely in part because of the plus damage to demons that is on Laying of Hands as well as the Tyrells. So as you can see, just shredding through everything here, not a big deal. You would do the same on basically any tier map. Basically, the one thing that you don't want is large packs of physical immunes. So if you roll maps, you really want to avoid the ones that have like succubuses, or definitely you want to avoid ghosts. If you get ghosts, either run it with a friend or toss it out the window, because you don't want to be running into large packs of physical immunes. One individual physical immune is extremely manageable, though. I must have not hit the seal here. You can definitely kill it, even with the 1 point magic arrow will suffice. So we'll just keep going here. So I guess a couple of concepts that I can talk about while I play is how you want to actually use the Zon. Basically, as you can see, I stick and move a little bit. So you shoot and run, shoot and run. Just means, you're okay. Here's a physical immune, so you can see how fast it dies, even with the 1 point in magic arrow. But basically, if any projectiles are coming towards you, you will dodge them as you shoot, which is nice. And yeah, so here we go. We're going to see how fast Diablo dies. It's honestly like 1 second. And again, just, has a lot to do with, yeah, so dies very quickly. It has a lot to do with the damage to demons on the build. So yeah, I mean, that's a bit of gameplay. I think it's pretty easy to see the strength of the build. I think another key concept, just to kind of rehash, is faster run walk is a huge part in clearing efficiency. So we'll just really quickly, we'll go back to Act 1 where it's nice and green. We'll just talk about faster run walk. So, when you're killing things so quickly, getting from point A to point B is only going to serve to increase your clearing speed. And that's why I prefer the Act 1 Merc with the Vigor Aura. Again, just really boosts your faster run walk. Can't say enough about the strength of that and how much it really aids your farming. And again, the other option is an Act 5 Merc with the Beast weapon. Because the Beast has only level 8 to 10 fanaticism, it does change the breakpoints a little bit. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they do range between 100 and 110 for the level 8 and level 10 fanaticism. Of course, you can Google D2 IS calculator and you'll be able to calculate the breakpoints that you need that way. And lastly, we'll just jump into what my Merc wears. So again, I use the Faith Bow. This is imperative. The Templar's Might is definitely a great option. Adds the Might Aura. Any level of Might Aura you can afford is good, but it is the absolute definite armor that you want on this. Even if you have one open socket, it's still achievable. You will need to put a Hell Rune or a minus requirement jewel in it, but your Merc will be able to wear it. If you do only have one open socket, you'll need to get strength from somewhere. You can get Drac gloves, you can use Andy's helm, you can use T-Gods, whatever you want to do to get the strength that you need to wear it. But the Templar's Might is far and away the best in slot option for your Mercenary. I like Crown of Ages. I've put Cham in it so that she doesn't get frozen. The PDR is nice, the resist is nice, 75% curse reduction. Your Merc is just never going to die when you have this. I do have a 15 increased attack speed jewel in here, just as an FYI. Her breakpoint is 30, so you just need, I have 15 here, and I have 20 on my gloves. So it's very achievable. Again, if you have Andy's helm, that's going to have 20, and then you can get 20 from gloves, whatever you want to do. For Dungos, I use this again, love the PDR. And for boots, Inferno Strides or Hot Spurs are definite great options here. So that pretty much wraps up the guide. Again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me in game. My account name is Bora, Bora. On Discord, I am Bora7700. Feel free to whisper me anytime. And again, I do highly recommend that you check out my guide on Reddit. It does have a lot of different build variations, all the different, for different budget levels. I do understand that I do have some pretty expensive gear here, but I do have a lot of viable options that are all discussed in my guide, which I will link in the YouTube comments as well. All right, thanks everybody, and see you next time.